Hello and sorry, I had a few sausages in my mouth. Hello and welcome to the Mailbox Rogues Gallery, the fortnightly podcast where we take a figure from history and pop them in our metaphorical mailbox of rogues. My name's Burch.
And my name's Sean. And if you listened to last episode, you'll know that we were discussing Queen Victoria. We sat in this lovely Greasy Spoon cafe in Dover. We've just come back from our trip from Europe. And we've realised that we still had quite a lot left to say about the good old Queen. So we decided to just camp out in the cafe for another fortnight and just chow down on some good old British beans and sausages and carry on the discussion.
Yep, a sturdy diet of beans and Oh, sorry, I thought there was someone behind me there.
Now, we talked about this last episode, but you are being really jumpy and quite nervous. Now, you'd previously gone off on some errands on your own. You wouldn't actually tell me what you've been up to so far. You've been very vague about it, and now you're very edgy.
Yeah, maybe it's the sausages. It must be. I'm probably not had enough sausages. Is my problem, Sean? Hey, garçon, more sausages, please.
Coming right up.
Yeah, that'll sort me right out. Don't you worry about me, Sean. Maybe we should carry on talking about old Queen Victoria. God rest her soul.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into it.
One thing with Queen Victoria as well that should be noted that I wasn't aware of before doing the research. She had quite a number of assassination attempts against her.
Quite a few, yeah.
First one was in 1840, pregnant at the time with her first child. She was on a carriage ride when an 18-year-old man called Edward Oxford attempted to kill her. He fired a gun at her. Now, the stories aren't sure whether he missed or the gun didn't go off. But basically, there was an issue and she wasn't killed. So he didn't get high treason, but he was found basically not guilty by reason of insanity.
Yeah, that's always my defence, actually. I lean quite heavily on that crutch in the court systems.
Yeah, I mean the thing with back then though is that pretty much everything was deemed as insanity then. So people were just getting away with all sorts. It was like, oh, what's this person's crime? Went into the shop and stole a chocolate bar. Stole a chocolate bar? That's madness. And they say, oh, okay, well, guilty by insanity then.
Off to Bedlam.
I mean, the prisons were empty as anything, but the mental institutions were packed.
Yeah, to the rafters, I'm sure, yeah.
But that was the first attempt on her life, right, when she was on a carriage ride.
Well, when in my research, that came up as the first notable attempt, which I find interesting phrasing, because I thought, what's an unnotable assassination attempt at Queen Victoria's life? What didn't make the list there? Someone slipped a banana skin under one of those gigantic dresses she was wearing, and she couldn't see it.
I don't know, but I mean, so first attempt in a carriage ride, man came along and tried to shoot her. Second assassination attempt was a couple of years later. She was riding in a carriage again when a man called John Francis aimed a pistol at her, but it didn't go off. Didn't go off this time. And now I love this. Maybe this says a lot about Victoria as a person. Now, like, when she was a child, she never saw any other kids. She had to stay with her mum constantly, so she felt very isolated and alone, and she was perhaps feeling like she didn't experience enough excitement in her life, which is why I think she did this with regards to this assassination attempt. Now, John Francis aims the gun, fires, doesn't go off, he runs away. The next day, right, Victoria gets in the carriage, same time, goes the same route, just a little bit faster, with an escort, basically in an attempt to bait him into coming out.
Really?
Yeah, which he does. He appears, he shoots at her.
This time she's got bulletproof glass.
That's right. And the police seize him and stop him. Now, they could have got like a decoy queen, surely. They're like, okay, Your Majesty, maybe to catch this person, we'll have a fake queen in the carriage, and she's like, no, he tried to take my life, I'll take this cunt.
That's Queen Victoria,
that's
is it?
Queen Victoria, and then they're like, look, Your Majesty, I'm not sure about this, and she's like, you don't know what it's like, I've stared death in the face twice, just give me the fucking chance, get me in that fucking carriage.
She sounds a lot like the guy who's been serving me beans.
Yeah, maybe he's a distant relative, who knows?
Maybe, yeah. See, Now you said, why didn't they just use a decoy queen? But I think you're setting you could start a dangerous trend there if you have a royal endorsement for decoy queens, because at that point there's no like fingerprinting, there's no like knowledge of DNA or genetics, right? So if it's known that a decoy queen can be floated as an idea, right? Before you know it, all over the country, these decoy queens are popping up, right? And they're all going, it's like, no, I'm Queen Victoria. No, I'm Queen Victoria. And they've no way of knowing which is the real one because, like I say, there's no genetic information to prove it for sure. If you've got like a really good impersonator, who knows? Who knows which one's the real queen?
No, that's true. And they could make a great living as a lookalike as well. Sort of like Elvis.
Sorry, sort of like Elvis. Is that what Elvis did?
It is. Yeah, he
was. Sorry, are you trying to tell me that Elvis disappeared to become a Queen Victoria impersonator?
You know what? Now that I think about it, Sean, that is exactly what I was getting at. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But third assassination attempt, right? No carriage this time. Guy called John William Bean. Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean. Hello.
Teddy.
Fired a pistol at her. Right? Again, there wasn't enough charge in the pistol, so didn't kill her. Now, I find this
quite... There wasn't enough... Sorry, what do you mean there wasn't enough charge? What was it, like a ray gun?
The information that I read said that... Now, I was very confused with this, said it was loaded with paper and tobacco. So was he keeping his fags in there?
It's one way to light them.
Yeah, that's true.
You think you keep bullets in there?
Yeah, we forgot. He's those decorative ones where you can like pull the trigger and like a flame comes out and you like light your cigarette. He was like, oh bloody hell, I got the decorative lighter. Oh, for fuck's sake! But it's funny, like this guy ended up grabbing him. This guy called Charles Edward Dassett, right? Took him to a policeman. Said, look, this guy here, Mr. Bean, he tried to shoot at the Queen, right? He tried to kill her. Apparently this policeman just like laughed it off, said, no, there's no evidence, mate. They were really good at their job back then.
Yeah, very flippant. Yeah.
And so the guy ended up wandering off, right? Later that day, Dassett still had the gun on him, and the police arrested him for having the gun.
The police arrested another policeman for having the gun?
Yeah.
Oh, blimey. What a mess that is.
It's absolute palaver. But then he was like, look, I told you guys earlier about this, right? And then he gave a description of the guy. He said that Mr. Bean, I'm going to keep calling him Mr. Bean, he said that Mr. Bean was a hunchback. And so they ended up scouring London looking for this guy. And they ended up basically arresting just about every hunchback in London.
Now that is an interesting fact, and it leads me to question how many hunchbacks there were in London at the time.
Oh, I wish there was a number for that. I was very curious when I was reading that myself. I just imagining just like a courtyard with about like 200 of them just going, the bells, the bells.
Well, yeah. Maybe he escaped to Paris, moved to Notre Dame.
Maybe so.
We'll never know. Now, you've listed a few times that she was shot at, but she was also, and somebody else, a guy called Robert Pate, a former soldier. Now, he tried to kill her by hitting her with an iron-tipped cane. Just bonking her on the head with it.
That's right, yeah. He ended up crushing her bonnet and bruising her forehead. And, like, this was in her carriage as well. Now, that's like 3 or 4 instances of that happening now. Like, you'd think maybe her guards were just like, do you want to just stay in today?
They needed to have her like a bubble car, like the Pope-mobile, didn't they? Really,
yeah. They should have fashioned something like that for her. I mean, fair play to her. If I was in her shoes, right, I wouldn't be taking the carriage.
No. And also, like, fair play to Robert Pate, the guy who went at her with the iron-tipped cane. He saw that everybody else had failed with a pistol, which you think would be the easiest way to kill a queen. He went, oh, how can I turn this situation on its head? How really think outside the box. What's the opposite of shooting somebody with a pistol? Oh, I just hit her in the head with an iron-tipped cane. It's inventive.
It's original, yeah. The iron cane killer. They should have referred to him as.
Well, yeah, but he didn't kill her, so you only get that name once you've actually pulled the job off.
The iron caned attempted murder. Just forget him. Just leave him out of the history books at that point.
I'd done some research on this as well, and I've got this list of people who shot at her in her carriage, and I've got some ones on here that you haven't mentioned. So, like you say, it must have just been At some point, she must have had some qualms about getting in that carriage.
Maybe, but like this is a direct quote from her, right? Like after, I think at this point it was like her 5th assassination attempt with a gun. It was by a disgruntled poet who was offended that she wasn't going to accept one of his poems. He ended up getting found not guilty by reason of insanity again. She was obviously livid with it, but she also expressed gratitude, basically, at the loyalty of everyone, like all of her subjects. And she once said that it was worth being shot at to see how much one is loved.
Do you want to do the voice that you did before for her, since it's been established?
So she once said, "You know what? It's fucking worth being shot at every once in a while, just to know which cunt loves you."
Much better.
Her actual words.
Her actual words. Yeah, well, that's the silver lining, isn't it? I mean, some people would take being shot at and bonked on the head with a cane. Some people would take that to heart, but, you know, she saw the silver lining.
Absolutely, yeah, very positive. For someone who's famously depicted as being a very dour, miserable sort of person, she seems to have a lot of feisty energy and laughing in the face of death and canes. Oh, okay. Oh, phew.
What is going on with you, mate? You are jumpy as anything. You know, usually when you're relaxed and you've got a plate of sausages in front of you, you really play with your food. You know, you stick them up your nose, you make them look like they're 2 legs dancing on your plate, all sorts. You've just been eating them and jumping every time someone comes through the door.
No, you're right. I mean, I'm nervous, and when I'm nervous, I just eat plate after plate of sausages, and I don't play with my food. I just eat them, swallow them down.
Now, is this anything to do with those errands you were running earlier? Is this something I'm missing here? Is there something going on?
All right, yeah, I'm gonna level with you. Yes, it is. Yeah, it had something to do with the errands that I went on earlier.
Okay, because as listeners to this series will know, we are both currently wanted by the law. We're on the run. We're on the lam. You've not got us in any trouble, have you?
Okay, look. I'll confess, right? The errand that I went on was I was going to go and see the binman.
Not the binman. The binman, you mean?
The binman, that's right. The binman whose father I accidentally killed, the binman whose house I set on fire, and the binman who I nearly murdered, who was the reason that we ended up going to prison in the first place. Yeah, that's right. I tried to find him.
Yeah, again, listeners to our last series will know that you got in all sorts of scrapes with this poor binman, and that was the reason we got locked up at the end of the last series.
Yeah, well, look, I know that we've had scuffs and scrapes with him, you know, and obviously the restraining order is still there, but I wanted to make amends, Sean. You can't blame me for that. I wanted to apologise and straighten everything out.
You were the white piece of dove, were you? Today you went out with the olive branch clasped firmly in your beak.
That's right, yeah, I was. And, I mean, I thought life on the lam was going to be exciting, but I'm just an anxious ball of nerves, like 24/7. So I thought, maybe if I can, like, straighten this out with the guy, everything will be sorted, you know. So I found out where he's living. You know, I found his address, and I thought, right, okay, well, I'll go knock on the door, apologise. So I'm heading there, going to his house. You know, it's late at night.
Yeah. Sorry, so how late was it? You know, like around dinner time, like 6, 7, 8?
Like midnight.
Midnight, okay, yeah, that is an inauspicious time to have a knock on the door.
No, I guess, but you know, I was in a rush. I knew the plate of sausages were waiting for me, so I wanted to get this kind of over with and done, basically. So got there, it's the middle of the night. I thought, well, he's probably going to be asleep, but if I knock loud enough, you know, it'll wake him up. But you know, I get to the house, all the lights are on, and I'm like, oh, well, that's weird. What are the lights on? And I'm looking, right. Looking in the window.
Oh, you've come right up. You've not gone to the door. You've gone up to the window.
Gone up to the window. I'm looking through. I see this group of young people, right? They're all there, sleeping bags on the floor, drinks in their hands, laughing, loud music, partying. And I'm like, oh my... Looking around, I can't see the binman anywhere. And I'm thinking, he's got squatters. He's got squatters in his house. And I was like, oh my God, he's away for whatever reason. People have jumped in. That is not on. That is not on. How am I meant to apologise to him now? And then I thought, if I can get these squatters out of his house, I mean, that would make us even, surely.
Yeah, you'd be doing him a huge favour.
Exactly, that's right. So I thought, right, okay.
So hang on. So we must be good with the bin man now then. So we're all good now, are we? We don't have to be on the run anymore?
Well, let me finish this story, and then maybe you can decide where we stand from there.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think
so I might be able to go home and see my family soon. Just finish the story, yeah.
Just let me finish this story, and maybe that's best. So I think, right, okay, I got to do something, right? So I wander off. I go to my car, right? I get the machete that I always keep in my car. Because it's a dangerous world, so you got to always keep a machete in the car with you, right? I also get the hockey mask that I also keep in the car, and I put on my overalls too.
And sorry, why do you have a hockey mask in the car? I've never known you to play hockey. Quite frankly, I didn't even know you had a car. We've been walking all over the country.
Well, I remembered the other day. It's just like, oh yeah, I had a car before all this, didn't I? So I went and got the car, and remembered that I had, my hockey mask, my overalls, and my machete. In the boot of the car. I don't need to go into my personal life with you, Sean. I have a life outside of this podcast with you, so let's just leave it be, yeah?
All right. Sensitive. About your hockey mask.
So I put on the hockey mask, the overalls, and I was brandishing the machete, and I was thinking, this is it, I'll just scare them away. So I started knocking on the door, really like rapping, bang, 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 bang on the door. One of them opens the door up, looks at me, just like starts laughing.
Whoa.
He's like, Halloween's not for another few months, mate. I was like, look, you get out of this house now. He was like, oh yeah, or else what? And I grabbed I took the apple out of my pocket that I was holding, right? Threw it through the...
What apple? What apple?
I always carry an apple with me in case I get hungry.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I know I didn't mention it before, but, don't always think about
I know you well enough. I know you well enough by now, I should know.
Threw the apple in, right? Goes through the window on the opposite side, smashes it. He's like, what? Put the machete in his face. He starts backing away, I walk in. Then all the other people in the other room are like, oh my God, what is it? What's going on? What's going on? I'm like, right, I've had enough. You guys are taking advantage and it makes me fucking sick. Why can't you find a place of your own? They're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you guys sitting here, your loud music, sipping on your drinks, taking advantage of good, decent, hard-working people, people who work to like try and put a roof over their head, and then you just come in and take it. They're like, mate, look, we don't know what you're talking about. I look in the back, see one of them calling someone up. So immediately, I go in and I grab the phone, and then I chuck it across, goes through another window by accident. And then I'm like, no, you guys aren't going to be calling anyone's. The lot of you sit down. I aim the machete at their faces. I'm thinking, I'm doing a good thing here. He is going to be so pleased when he gets home and sees that I've rounded up these squatters in his house.
So, sometimes in life when you're doing like a really good deed, you're feeling like a really good Samaritan, you just get like a real glow. You get a real feeling of warmth inside. So, as you've stormed into this house and you're waving the machete around and pointing it in people's faces, is that what you're feeling? You're feeling that warmth of doing a good deed? If
anything's going to get me into heaven, it's this, I'm thinking at this point.
Yeah.
Sure I'm scaring a few young people witless, but as far as I'm concerned, these are bad apples.
Well, it's the greater good, and it's a bit of vigilante justice. You're like one of those DC Supermens.
Now, I'm there talking to them, I'm like, right, so we're going to wait till morning. And then one of them's like, well, what's going to happen in the morning? And I'm trying to put the willies up them a bit. I'm like, just you wait. I start tapping the machete against my other hand, right? Really trying to scare them. Because I don't want them to squat anymore. That's what this is all about. If anything, I'm helping them.
Well, getting their lives back on track.
Yeah, maybe getting them on the property ladder. And
this is some very very wholesome vigilante justice you're doing here. If the end result is getting people on the property ladder.
And then one of them just jumps up, starts running. So I reach into my other pocket and I pull out my banana. Because, sometimes an apple isn't enough.
Yeah, of course.
I chuck the banana. The banana just falls right in front of their foot.
Oh, banana skin.
Yep, the classic. They slip on it and they slide across into the kitchen, bang their head on one of the kitchen cabinets. They fall backwards. They were out for the count. Kitchen cabinet falls down, all of this mess in the kitchen. And then they're like, oh my God, we've got to check on them. We've got to check on them. And I'm like, no, you guys stay there. You guys stay there, all right? So then I close the door and I'm like, right, we're all going to wait here nice and cool, all right?
So you're waiting for the binman to come home, is that it?
That's exactly right, yeah. We're waiting for the sun to rise. They're still pleading with me to check on their mate. Then all of a sudden one of them goes, oh God, we were cooking something before you came here. We left the oven on. And I was like, what are you talking about? I open the door. Sure enough, black smoke just bellows through all the house. So I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? And then I'm like, all right, okay, everyone out. They all get out of the house. I have to go in the kitchen and pick up this person who was still unconscious. Breathing, but unconscious.
Yeah,
so I carry them out, get outside. We're looking at the house. That thing's like setting on fire now. A good chunk of the house is burning. And they're looking at me like, you're an absolute madman. We are going to call the police. And I'm like, the police? You guys are the squatters? And they were like, what are you talking about? We're not squatters. And I said, well, if you're not squatters, what the hell are you? That's not your house. And then they're like, no, it's not our house. It's our uncle's house. He's away at the minute and we're house sitting.
Oh, now I bet you're looking pretty confused beneath that hockey mask.
Well, yeah. At this point, I take the hockey mask off and I'm like, house sitting? What, you mean for the binman? They all look a bit confused at each other and then back at me and say, well, yeah, our uncle is a binman. And then they're like, this isn't the first time it's happened to his house. And then they all look at me and it's like, hang on a minute, you look familiar.
Uh-oh.
And I quickly put the hockey mask back on. I was just
good.
Yeah, just in case. It's just like, well, it's just a hockey mask, You see lots of them everywhere. And then they're like, no, your face. Are you the guy who's been terrorising our uncle? And then I was like, look, that's preposterous. I don't know what you're talking about. That guy is in prison.
And I'm not him.
and I am not that person. And they were like, no, that guy escaped. That guy escaped, and he's apparently been like on some kind of crazy crime run all through the UK and Europe. He's been everywhere causing problems all over the place.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, look, I don't know what you're talking about. And then one of them gets up like a news article on their phone with a picture of us. It's like, that's him. I was like, look, I saved one of your siblings from a burning building there, all right? Can't we just call us even then? They were like, we saved up to pay for a holiday for him, right? Because since you've escaped from prison, he has been on edge. He's been like, it's only a matter of time before he comes to finish the job. It's only a matter of time. And they were saying, and we've been saying to our uncle, no, come on, like you don't know that. And he does, oh, I do know, I'm finished. First it was my dad and now it's me. And then they said, so what we did to take his mind off everything is we thought we'd pay for him to go on a little holiday somewhere.
And I bet you were asking them where they sent him.
So, just to make conversation, I was like, oh yeah, anywhere nice. And then they said, we're not going to tell you. You've tried to kill him twice, 3 times if you count this fiasco.
It's probably sensible that they didn't tell you, to be honest, at this stage.
And I said, look, I came here to kind of build bridges with your uncle, the bin man. And they were like, all this time and you don't even know his name, do you?
Now that is a good point, actually, because we always refer to him as the bin man. I mean, I'm assuming at some point when we're in court, they must have mentioned it.
They use such big words in court. Were you listening during your hearing? I wasn't.
I wasn't paying a lot of attention, no.
But so, at that point, I reached into my other pocket and pulled out a bunch of grapes. So I just started chucking the grapes at all of the binman's nieces and nephews, and then I ran off.
Right, and why were you throwing grapes at them? I thought you were going to bring them out as like a peace offering or something.
No, like a distraction, so I could get away.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I imagine that they were readying themselves to try and overwhelm you.
Yeah, I mean, I got that impression just like from looking in their eyes. So I thought, got the grapes, chuck them at them, and it ran off. So yeah, I mean that's why I've been a bit nervous.
Yeah, I can see, and so now you're telling me that I thought we were keeping a low profile for one thing, and apparently they know that we've been on a crime spree all around the country and bits of Europe. So there's that. There's also the fact that they now know. They know what you look like, so they can keep an eye out for you. So it's not just him, but he's now got like a gang of people who could all potentially be after us. Plus, they probably tell the law that they know that we're back in the country.
I mean, what are we going to do?
Well, I don't know. To be honest, I'm starting to feel that you made the situation worse.
How could you put... Well, no, I understand why you could say that, but I mean, it's not through any fault of my own.
Well, I'd say it is, actually. I'd say it is. I'd say it's exactly the fault of your own. No more errands for you, all right? No more errands. We stick together. We do everything together from now on.
Okay, fine. Yeah, no, that's okay. No, that's fine. I went in with the best intentions, though. You have to give me that.
I'll give you that. Yeah, you did go in with the... Look, they don't know it, but I know that your heart is pure. That you may get a bit muddled up at times and make some wrong decisions, but I know that it all comes from a good place.
Thank you. Now, maybe we should... finish up these beans and sausages and get out of here sharpish, perhaps.
Yeah, in case you've been followed.
Okay, let's wolf it down.
Okay, listeners, we're finishing up our sausages and beans. Burch has got us in trouble with the law again and probably brought some heat down on us. I think it's probably time for us to finish up the episode and, escape somewhere where people can't find us.
Yep, it's about that time, so thank you very much for listening. If you've enjoyed the podcast, then do let us know. You can contact us in a number of ways. Firstly, you can reach us by email at mailboxroguesgallery@gmail.com. We're also on Twitter @mailboxrogues. You can also reach us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, where we are known as Mailbox Rogues Gallery.
Yeah, and you can also find us on all of your usual podcasting platforms, your Spotify's, your everywhere else, YouTube as well. And you can catch us on Apple Podcasts, and wherever you find us, and especially on Apple Podcasts, do leave us a rating and a review to help the podcast grow. And also, you can chat to us and other people on Discord.
That's right. We have a Discord, a Mailbox Rogues Gallery Discord. You can find the link to that in the link tree, which we have dotted around all over the place.
Right. Well, now with that out of the way, I tell you what, I've been in touch with my good prison buddy, Badminton Jones. Always nice. No, he's a bit of a fixer, isn't he? He's set us up with a few jobs now.
A fixer? He's a bit of a breaker. Every job we've had from him has ended in misery.
Yeah. Now, is that his fault or ours, perhaps?
I mean, I'm gonna put the blame on him personally.
Okay.
He doesn't put us in the best positions. He doesn't give us the best opportunities.
Well, okay. Well, he set up another job for us. I take it you don't want it then.
I don't. I mean, we're meant to be keeping a low profile now, but I guess at the same time we also need money. So I don't know.
Look, if we want it, he's got us some jobs in an art gallery as attendants. I just thought we could do that next week and talk about Andy Warhol.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That sounds fine. I mean, we can't get in any more trouble than we already are, can we?
No, not thanks to you. No.
Hey, come on. You don't need to put the blame on me all the time, I mean, you've seen how frantically I've been eating these sausages. You can see how my nerves are shot.
Yeah, that's right. Look, I apologise for putting all the blame on you. Come on, let's get one more plate of sausages to share, and then we'll be off.
One for the road, that's right.
Well, thanks, listeners, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Toodles.